the precious Buddha, unsurpassable teacher, the precious Dharma, unsurpassable refuge, the precious Sangha, unsurpassable guide. These three jewels, we make this offering as we spend time together this morning. So I'm going to give you a very brief encapsulation of the Buddhist teachings, but they are foundational. And some of you that have been studying Buddhism for a long time will know that this is the beginning, but you have to keep coming back to the beginning. So long time ago, 564 BCE, before Common Era, that is when the Buddha was born. And Vesak is a day where they encapsulate the day of the Buddha's enlightenment and also his birthday and his death day all in one. And that's why I chose this day to share a little bit about Buddhism with you. I have been attempting to practice Buddhism since I was 21, which is a long time ago. And each year it gets more simple and each year it gets more complicated. After going to the Dalai Lama's teachings 6 times, it is amazing to keep up with what he shares and how deep it is. He talks about, when I was talking to the kids about vibrations, and he talks about how every cell is made up, right, of the I or the we. We are not just individuals floating around. When Gary and Mike stand up and talk about what has happened in this world and in other states far away, we're not talking about unknown people. We're talking about people in the human family. And when we start looking from the I to the we in that way, it's a different situation. On a traffic jam on 96, it's a different situation in your family. You look at the we and know each person is carrying something. Each person wants a little more. And so the 4 noble truths start with the fact that there is pain in the world. Most of us came into this world on the backs or other human body parts of somebody's pain. And that's where it started. And then you cried, and we were all so happy. And then you wanted more life, right? And so you cried a little more, and you wanted some more milk. And then you wanted other things to happen for you and you and you. And you started grasping from the very beginning of wanting more. And it is that cycle of wanting more that brings you to the 4 noble truths. So besides focusing on that imagery of a newborn baby, we can bring it, and I guess I can do an unpaid ad for Starbucks. Some of you are partially addicted and some of you aren't. Fill in something else if it's not Starbucks, if it's chocolate, if it's a raw steak, if it's more time with a grandchild that's far away, if it's more time with somebody you're estranged with or a friend that lives in another state. Think of something you want more of. And so it's that grasping of wanting more that puts you in a place of discordance within yourself. You are never going to be at peace if you constantly want more. And all of us have something that triggers this. Some of us are fortunate enough to have grandchildren. I am, and our 3rd grandson we can't see very often. And boy, when he was, 10, I would want more time. I would want more time with that grandson. There's my 2 granddaughters, spending a lot of time with them geographically. They were close, but I'd want more. And the suffering quotient that went up in my system just kept going up and up and up until there was one day and I realized the little boy next door was the same age as my grandson. So I started spending more time with him. Now, is he my blood relative? No. Does he have grandparents? Yes, in China. And so what a perfect situation. I could be his adopted grandma or aunt, and he could be my adopted nephew or grandson. And we spent time together. And so then the sadness and the grieving and the wanting more quotient that was going up and up and up started coming down. Because we are so ego driven. We think that we can only spend time with that grandson, or we can only spend time with that friend, or we're the only ones that want one more Starbucks just today, and then I'm going to quit. Or one more piece of chocolate, and then somebody's going to hide it, and I won't be able to eat the rest, so I'll be okay. Whatever it is, it's that grasping. And so you start with pain. Pain is foundational. There's going to be pain and loss in everybody's life at one level or another. Even my aunt that was a nun that lived in a convent, she had pain. She dealt with people with pain. So you have pain and you grasp and you grasp. Some of us want to be how we were 5 years ago. Listen, kids, it's not going to happen. You are the new you today, and tomorrow you're going to be the new you again, and it's not going to be how it was 5 years ago, ever again, for any of you. I don't care if you start eating celery sticks and doing all the runs. You're still not going to be 5 years younger, but we grasp, and it's in that grasping that the suffering occurs. So that's one lesson. Everybody gets that, right? A lot of you have heard that before. Nobody likes that lesson. Nobody would like anybody to say, oh, you're really acting like a Scorpio. You're not supposed to call people out on that. Well, you're really grasping on that, aren't you? If you'd stop grasping, you wouldn't have any suffering. No, this is a process that you're going through personally. The second foundational teaching that I'm going to give you, and believe me, I have, I think, almost another year with all of you. So this isn't the last word on Buddhism, because I have so much to impart on you, but this is very important. A lot of times people that aren't Buddhist will charge people that are Buddhist, oh, well, Buddhists believe in non-attachment, so that means they don't care. A lot of times Unitarian Universalists get charged with that too. Unitarian Universalists don't believe in anything, so they don't care. We do believe in something. We believe in justice. We believe in freedoms. We believe in diversity. And we vehemently believe in those things. We don't just believe in them in passing. And so this idea of non-attachment, in this moment, and today, as we have a perfect annual meeting, we will do our best at our annual meeting. And then this afternoon, you will spend time with family or taking a nap or going for a walk, and you will do your best. Now, the non-attachment part comes from being non-attached to results. So every moment you practice right living, right attention, rightness as much as you can, and living on target. And then the results will take care of themselves because they're the unknown. The perfect example is for those of you that stood up and talked about graduations, right? So some of us are lucky enough to know children from, who they are, who they were 18, 25 years ago, and now as adults. As a new little baby, you think, oh, I hope this baby is going to be an engineer or a teacher or a doctor. Nobody thinks, I hope this baby is going to go to Haight-Ashbury and put flowers in their hair and call me for money every 6 weeks. Nobody ever thinks that. But sometimes, to quote Cat Stevens, that's on the road to find out. Sometimes people have to go to Haight-Ashbury to come back to whatever they need to do. And it might not be an engineer or a teacher or a doctor or, goodness forbid, a minister. I was told many times, a minister? Really? My son would tell me, you're going to sit under a tree and read poetry? Nobody's going to pay you to do that. The point is, you are responsive to that child all the way through, correct? You're loving, you're caring, you're understanding. You don't ask about tattoos. If they want to tell you the meaning of their tattoo, they will tell you. You're not, please don't ask. Oh, that tattoo is so wonderful. What does it stand for? No, you have just invaded somebody's body. It's kind of like patting a pregnant woman's tummy. No, do not do that. It will unfold, but you accept that expression and you learn and you expand, and you don't know what the results are going to be at the end. The people that started this church, they didn't know what the results would be, and they ain't seen nothing yet. It's not over until the fat lady sings. And I don't see any fat ladies, and then if they were, well, they're not always singing. Sometimes they're in silent meditation. So that's a couple of points. And in closing, and I promise to be done at 11:20, but you can't be done at 11:20 when you just start at 11:20. This is the last thing, and I think this is very important because a lot of people dabble in meditation, and that's fine. We love, all the meditators that have been meditating for years and years love dabblers. And some people say, breathe in, catch your breath, catch your breath. Oh, no, think of think of a mantra. No. All you have to do is close your eyes and your mouth. That's all you have to do. And keep breathing in and out with your eyes closed. You can do it. They can do their beautiful meditation starts at 10 o'clock. They can do that while people are chatting in coffee hour. Because guess what? There's no complete silence any place unless you want to be in Guantanamo. And I think that that's not a place that we want to practice our meditation. So what does meditation do? I loved my dad. He was 100% Italian. He would have been like, really? You're just sitting there. What are you doing? I finally know now what I am doing. In that silence, you're creating gaps. You're creating gaps of space within your own consciousness. And this can be proven with brain chemistry, and they have done testing, and so they can see these gaps. And within those gaps, you collect more and more gaps. And so then when you pop those little eyes open and somebody is getting on in your skin, instead of like, you respond, not react. Respond, not react. Because you have that power of the gap. And what did Deepak Chopra call the gap? The gap was something you wanted to fall into, not that old clothes store from the 80s in the mall, but the gap of external consciousness, the gap of silence, the gap of quiet. And in that gap resides a lot of power for you individually. And so the next time that you're in the doctor's office or in some line that's driving you crazy, I hate to admit this, I actually fell asleep in one of those drive-through lines the other day. Luckily, I had the car parked in park. But gather those places so that your intentionality and your responsiveness rather than reactiveness has something to fuel on. So next time we will cover the 5 mindfulness trainings. And that's an ad, and you never know when it will show up. So I want to read this in closing, and then we're going to listen to music before we exit. As you sit wherever you are, you listen to all the wind that's singing actually in your veins. You can feel love and longing. You can also feel the fear in your own bones. You are already more or less than whatever you can know in your breathing in and your breathing out. There is enoughness. And as we listen to this final piece, may we be conscious enough to close our eyes and not just hear, but entirely feel our closing piece of music.